So we're here at AUVSI, and one of the things that DJI is doing is sponsoring the Humanitarian Awards, and a lot of that stuff is happening in North Carolina as well. We're here with 3 people from North Carolina who are going to talk about that, and we'll start with you. Maybe a quick introduction and then talk more about what actually is happening in the drone industry in North Carolina.
Sure, so my name is Basil Yap, UAS Program Manager for the drone department within the Department of Transportation. So we're found within the Division of Aviation, thinking all things aviation. And so with me is our director, Bobby Walston, and our role is to kind of facilitate and manage the integration of drones or UAS into North Carolina.
Hi, Bobby Walston, and Director of the Division of Aviation under our Department of Transportation. North Carolina is unique with our DOT in that we manage, we own and operate all the highways, the roads, the bridges, and have many other modes, the ferry division, public transportation, bike and ped, the rail division, and then aviation. And so it was logical when it came time to start looking at this technology and how to integrate it into our state, working with our state legislators, is DOT stepping up to take a lead in it for the entire state with all state agencies. So in that process of doing that, we embraced the technology, started utilizing platforms like DJI to start doing response, start to educate the public. So looking at all purposes and values for it, both public safety as well as other commercial purposes for it. And so, taking the lead in that, we can not just focus on public safety, but we can focus on all these other purposes as well. And so we were fortunate to be put in that position and kind of all things aviation, as Basil said, in our state. So that's our focus now, is not just manned, but unmanned as well. And geographically, with where North Carolina is, on the east coast of the United States, we're prone to a lot of hurricanes. And so that's what led us into this situation with Hurricane Florence in the fall of last year.
Is it fair to say that the unfortunate event of hurricanes were in a way a breakthrough for drones, and that people realize that drones can actually do a lot of good as well and are more than just toys?
It absolutely was, and being one of the 10 selected by FAA to be on the integrated pilot program, we already had a lot of great things happening with FAA to lay the groundwork to be able to make things happen very fastly. So when we started to ramp up for this storm and looking at all aviation assets, we were well suited with private companies that were ready to go fly and operate for us, as well as the state agencies like our Highway Patrol and public safety.
And now one of the drone initiatives is eligible, I guess, for the DJI Humanitarian Awards. Can we talk a little bit about that as well?
That's correct. And I'm going to turn that over to the guys that really did the work, so you can learn a little bit more about the details with that. But it was fascinating from my perspective to watch the business case of it and the value of it, because North Carolina has been through this many, many times, but never with this technology, and never with this capability.
Awesome.
So introduce you here to Darshan.
Hi, I'm Darshan Divakaran. I'm the UAS Program Engineer for the North Carolina Department of Transportation. During the Hurricane Florence response, I led the flight operations side of it, and the main focus for me was to make sure the pilots that were deployed to the locations for inspections and for surveying and mapping and everything was to have the right credentials, to make sure that they were safe drone operators, to make sure that they had the technology that they needed. In a location during hurricane or any disaster, it's difficult to communicate, and we have to make sure that we have the right communication channel to them. It's basically to make sure that we have the right team at the right location to get us the updates about how the road conditions are, the bridge conditions, the rail condition, so that our engineers and our DOT engineers and other stakeholders in our state can respond accordingly. And to talk more about the operations, I'll hand it over to Basil Yap.
Back to you, Basil.
One of the really exciting parts of the response was this unanticipated use of drones that we saw, and that was the story that we were telling about the extent of the damage. And so we went into this storm thinking, all right, we're going to use drones to help our engineers assess where the roads are closed, etc. But we're actually able to capture the full extent of the flooding and show 3 miles of I-40, this major interstate, through our state, which was underwater. And so taking that imagery, sharing it through social media and other news media events, we were able to tell the story about the flooding that was happening, and that helped with folks that were traveling. They could understand why roads were closed. And as Darshan mentioned, we captured a lot of data. So we flew over 250 missions. We captured over 8,000 videos and images. And so we wanted to be able to capture this data and then share it appropriately. And so we kind of really developed a great template for that, where we would bring in the data, and since these photos were already geotagged, we could put it on a GIS map, a map of the state, and it would automatically reference those locations to where the photos were taken, and then we could share that with all of our emergency responders. And that was their go-to place to look at images and get updates. They could see daily updates. We updated that site every 30 minutes with new photos and videos.
Can you tell a little bit about how many drone teams were involved and the kind of drones that were flown during these operations?
So we had 15 drone teams deployed. They're made up of both state employees, so our DOT employees, as well as State Highway Patrol. And then we also had on-call consultants who were helping us, names like Precision Hawk and Dronescape and others. And so we had a variety of drones that we were flying, but primarily flying DJI products. And we were able to use some of the built-in features to live stream those operations, and especially of traffic back through the existing features already in the DJI Go app. So that was really exciting. And a key part of this was talking together and communicating together. And so we used another partner, AirMap, to help communicate.
Now, in a few months, we're going to head into this year's hurricane season. Have you guys changed anything based on all the learnings from previous years that's now impact how you're going to go about this going forward? Like, is the operation changed or preparation of that?
Yeah, Darshan would be a great to talk about his role working with FEMA and really connecting the dots with the public safety agencies.
We'll go back to Darshan.
So we know that the hurricane season comes every year, so now with the focus of our last year's operation, people want to get data faster, they want to respond to scenes faster, so we have to start preparing based on the data that we got last year, and also coordinate with the agencies that are responding to emergency, like FEMA, FAA, Coast Guard, National Guard. So we have started communications with them, and we have we have explained to them that the next step is to get more the technology and more pilots out. So last time we had 15 teams. We are looking at deploying a larger team to find out solutions for real-time streaming, faster solutions, but also just coordinating with FEMA to make sure, and with FAA to make sure that everything is streamlined. Because during a disaster or an emergency, there's a lot of confusion. And in our state, we are looking to become the first state in the nation to focus everything through a simple straight channel, where Division of Aviation helps all the agencies in North Carolina to do their job and not worry about the logistics on authorizations, waivers, and permissions to fly these locations, because we can work with FAA to get that because of our expertise. And that is the way forward, is to provide faster response, better technology, and to ensure that our people are safer, save lives is our main focus end of the day.
It sounds like North Carolina is one of the states that's at the forefront of using drones in disaster response. Are these best practices shared with other states like Florida or Georgia or South Carolina or any of the other ones?
And I'll pass the message to Bobby.
Sure, yeah, so we've published some papers and really availed ourselves, or these guys particularly, to go out and do presentations just like we did at AUVSI XPonential. But yeah, so we take every opportunity we can to share. In fact, I reminisce prior to Hurricane Florence coming in, where we met over the phone with the Texas folks who had just gone through this about a year ago, and so we're able to talk to them and see, but we could also see, to me, what was the telltale factor is how much technology had already improved in just 1 year, and how we were able to just go at this with the latest tools and tricks, and had people already certified to be able to go out and do this. So that made a big difference. And so yeah, we're trying to push that forward with entities all over the country.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time and
Sure.
for all the information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.